Hey there, guys, and happy Thursday. I'm delighted you're able to join me this evening again. Thank you to all of the guests, the viewers, and the supporters. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. I am your host, Shay Renee, and look in my Instagram link in the bio and join my YouTube channel entitled The Indie Spotlight Philly. You can watch all of the past and latest episodes of The Indie Spotlight Philly. Also, check out my podcast available on Anchor.fm, Spotify, and Google Podcasts entitled The Indie Spotlight Philly. But tonight's episode of the Indie Spotlight Special Edition Thursdays, or the Indie Spotlight Philly Thursdays, we have a very, very special guest on, and he's actually in the room. I would like to introduce the CEO of Phillish Entertainment and Soulful Sounds International Records, as well as the co-founder of the Artists United and I Care Academy, R&B singer Ashley Scott. So I'm getting ready to invite him to the camera so that we can start the interview. Hey,
Hey, madam, how art thou?
hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you.
Good, it's nice to see you too. How is your evening going?
It's going. I'm happy to be on your platform. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, I wanted to tell you, to give you another thank you for being so reachable, for me being able to talk to you and set up this interview. So I'm pretty excited.
I'm excited to be on. Thank you.
Yes. So could you tell me where are you from?
From Philadelphia, born and raised here, still live here as well. I lived in Washington, D.C. for a few years going to college, where I went to Howard University. I'm an alumni.
Yeah.
But moved back to Philadelphia after college and have been here for a few years.
Awesome. That's great. So how can people find you? Where can they find you as far as your social media platform?
So my website is ashleyscottmusic.com. Social media for Twitter and Instagram, it's the same screen name, Ashley Scott 3. You can see that right here if you're watching. And on Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/I am Ashley Scott.
Awesome. So people can find you on Instagram, Facebook. Oh, and also I was looking at a few of your videos. So what if you're on YouTube?
Yes. They can just type in Ashley Scott Music.
Ashley Scott Music. So you got YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. And all your music is available on all the major streaming platforms as well, right?
Yes, but I particularly would love people to go to my website, ashleyscottmusic.com, and click on the music store, and they can get it direct. It'll take them to a Bandcamp link, and they can download it directly there, and the proceeds will go to the artist directly.
Awesome. So I'm glad you actually brought that up. So everyone go to Ashley Scott. What's the website again?
ashleyscottmusic.com.
Okay, ashleyscottmusic.com. And you know what? You just actually brought up a really, really important thing about artists is that a lot of the major streaming platforms, they don't really, they don't really compensate the artists very, very well.
Very true.
They do not. And you have a really, really, I was reading your LinkedIn, you have a really, really extensive time behind the scenes with music and music business. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
So I went to Howard and majored in music and minored in business. I'm moving back to Philadelphia a few years ago. I've worked for a lot of years in concert promotion as well as putting on my own events and shows here locally with a lot of different artists. I've also worked on the business teams of quite a few artists like Marcus Johnson. He's a jazz keyboardist. I've worked with the artist out of Chicago, another Howard alum. Her name is Kenya. And I currently work with a gentleman by the name of Will Downing.
Yes. I was looking at how long you was working with Will Downing. Go ahead.
And I've also been a governor for our local Recording Academy Grammy chapter. I was a governor for about 8 years, and one of those years, I think 2016 to 2017, I served as vice president of the chapter. So I've definitely been in the music community here in Philadelphia for quite some time, and I'm definitely very active and very known, if you will. And I'm releasing my own music right now on my own label, and it's doing very well internationally.
Awesome. So how long, well, okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm asking this question right. I'm going through- When did you start pursuing your solo, your music career?
I started singing at a very early age, so I knew that I always wanted to do this, and so that's why I went to college and majored in music. Um, the influences, my musical influences range a whole lot. My dad had a great record collection with, music like Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago, and a lot of those records were played in our house. But his sister, my aunt Helen, is a member of a legendary Philadelphia vocal group that started in 1963, and they're called the Three Degrees. And so they were a part of the
Mhm.
Sound of Philadelphia, and they signed with Philadelphia International Records. And the group is known for the song "When Will I See You Again," as well as TSOP, The Sound of Philadelphia, which is the theme song to the TV show Soul Train. And so she's still touring to this day. The group has been touring straight for 58 years nonstop. So they're the longest running female vocal trio in music history. Um, and so the Delphonics are also like family. They grew up on the same street as my mother in West Philadelphia. So William Hart, Randy Kane, and Wilbert Hart are like the extended uncles of the family, if you will. And I learned a lot from them. So their hits are definitely, embedded in my brain. So that was a lot of the music that was played in the house growing up, and a lot of the music that I kind of tended to, flock to. I think a lot of, also growing up, everybody went through their Michael phase and their Prince phase and their Luther phase, and then their 90s R&B, and then new millennium soul music, if you will, and the current stuff. So my taste ranges, between R&B, jazz, and gospel, and some classic pop or soft rock. I did like the Blue-Eyed Soul era of like Hall and Oates and the Doobie Brothers. So, a lot of that music is heavily influential in my life.
You know something also, you have your family's history is really remarkable.
Thank you.
And um the type of music actually like the type of but before I go into that, I would say like the kind of music I remember like my mom telling me like she went to school with um a lot of artists a lot of
Mm-hmm.
artists like she went to she like what I think it's like a Simon Gratz, like she goes to school with I think the lead singer from the Stylistics.
Okay,
My
the
mother's
Pumpkins, yeah.
yes, my my mother's a sister, one of my aunts went to school with Tammy Terrell,
Okay,
and my mother grows up next to the Morgan brothers, so Lee Morgan and his mom.
okay, right, right.
And I'm just like, I just really, I really like that. I really liked that about your story. And the kind of music you make is like, is the kind of music that we need to hear again. The type of music that I'm really, really into, you know?
Yeah, it's very traditional. I think
Hmm.
here, stateside, I'll say, or on our side of the pond, I I think that we use a term that I tend to kind of stay away from, which is old school, because
Hmm.
it kind of dates you. I'm just doing traditional music. I'm bringing in live instrumentation in the studio and creating the music from, from not from scratch, but of course, recreating it for the consumers to hear in an organic and traditional way. I think collaboration is important. I think community is important, and I think that those that's what makes music. I think, in my opinion, it wasn't just Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones that made Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad the successes that they were. I think it was everyone that went into the studio and played and sung a note on each song that made it to the album, because thousands of songs were recorded for those albums. And what we hear is what we got. But I think everybody that played a part, they each had a color to the painting, or a feel to what we hear in the music today. So I just choose to do things more organically. Um, with me liking artists that were, I guess, kind of way before my time, looking back on a lot of that classic video, a lot of our male singers and female artists, from that time period, whether it was Aretha Franklin or Barry White or Teddy Pendergrass or the Three Degrees or whomever, Marvin Gaye, when they toured and went to various cities, they had huge bands, and some of them were backed by orchestras at this point. And I just love that about, artistry and performance. And so for me, my creative process is very traditional and organic in that way, that my dream is to be backed by an orchestra. So I choose to have as much instrumentation as possible, because like string parts and horns and things of that nature, I want to have that in there, because if I'm ever backed by orchestra, I can have as many people reading off the sheet music and playing the music. So that's just a dream of mine. I did have an opportunity to perform with a small orchestra in New York about 2 years ago. And I'll say, I, orchestra is really 6 pieces of instrumentation or more. So I'm used to doing, horns with private party bands, if you will, 3-piece horn section with the bass, drums, keys, and guitar. But on this particular night in New York at Joe's Pub, it was a small string section, and it was a tribute to the sound of Philadelphia. And I had a chance to go up and perform a Delphonic song called "La La Means I Love You," and
Mm-hmm.
to
I looked at that. Mm-hmm.
to perform that with a string section and to just hear everything on stage at the same time, it was like the greatest feeling in the world, and one of the best performances I ever had and felt good about doing. And so in Philadelphia, music is very much appreciated out, inside the city. You hear the music on DAS and Classic 103, yeah, 103.9, but you definitely, um, abroad, it's just very much appreciated, and outside of the city. So to get the respect and love, and a lot of the Philadelphia musicians currently are still playing with major artists. We have people, doing award shows or playing with, Justin Timberlake, Lady Gaga, Pharrell, etc., Common. So I think the reputation of Philly artists and musicians is always going to be at an all-time high, and very well respected within the industry and the music as well.
Hey, yes, yes, I definitely agree. I would like to say, like, a lot of music. I know I would listen to a lot of music from a lot of like R&B songstresses and soul songstresses and stuff. And actually, I must um give credit to them that they actually help assisted me on how
Right.
to sing, how to sing. So I definitely understand that. And that was I did see you do that performance. I did look at I did look at your YouTube, and I actually looked at also your new video as well, or the latest video.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to also ask was, what is some advice that you would give to an artist that is starting their career, or that is starting their career, or trying to get out there and trying to do their career? Since you have a lot of knowledge, and you actually can see it from both sides because you are an artist and you work behind the scenes.
I think every artist, no matter what genre of music you're getting into, you need to know the business. And I think in
Mm,
2021, there's no excuse for any artist to not know the business. I think that there's no excuse for them to not do the research and learn what they need to learn for their craft if they are serious about pursuing in a career in the entertainment industry. This is all I've ever wanted to do. And right now, I'm definitely at a point where I'm doing it, and I'm thankful and humbled by the the things that have happened in my life. But learning the business is important, because this is a business first. The music and the
mm,
performance is the easy part. That's the fun part. It's the business that you need to know. Are you set up
mm.
as a business? And you know, there are books out there, there are sites you can go to learn about that stuff. So do your research, set yourself up before as a business in the entertainment business before you pursue a career in this business.
That's really well said. I actually had two music business classes. I had one in Community College of Philadelphia, the main
Mm.
campus on Spring Garden, and I had one in Temple University. And I wish they would have had someone, you, actually come and talk to us about music business and about how important it is. I really, really appreciate it. Those were some of the my favorite classes. My
I
favorite
think
classes.
if more people try to, use a quote from one of my mentors out of the New York area, in a small town called Elmira, New York. And she said, you have to approach things with fire prevention versus firefighting. And I think that if people learned the business, it would really help them in the long run, because they wouldn't have, issues down the line. Growing up around a lot of classic entertainers and also working in the business, I've been around a lot of legends, some that are not even here anymore. And to be at shows and just hear them talking to their band members and things of that nature, about lawsuits and things of that nature over things like royalties, trademarks, various issues. And even now in the industry, we're in a very high time of litigation over creativity. You have to learn the business and know the proper practices of this industry. I mean, one thing that I'll just say, don't go live in the studio. Any creative, if your stuff is not copyrighted or protected, don't go live in the studio. Don't go live as you're creating music, as you're creating beats or tracks or whatever you want to call them, for, because we got a lot of beat makers. We have still a lot of musicians that sit at the keyboard and just start playing. If you're just trying to play, that's fine, and serenade the people for a couple dollars, that's cool. Do some covers. Don't do anything original if it's not protected, because somebody out there is listening, and someone out there will take your idea. The industry hasn't changed. The game hasn't changed, just the people, just the players. So people are still doing the same things. Your creative ideas are your own babies, and you have to protect your children. So if you look at it like that, then I think you'll be fine, or anyone will be fine.
Yeah, I think that's some really, really good advice. You can't, say like someone stole your idea if it's out there, So like you said, you do really, really have to protect it.
And also we have to be careful. I'm trying to say this properly. If you're going to use someone else's creative works in your work, you need to do the business the proper way. So, case in point, if you're going to sample somebody's music, that costs money. You have to pay the person to use that sample. Reach out to them first and see if it's okay before you even put the work in to do it. Because if you can't afford it, don't do it. That's just my advice. That's that fire prevention versus firefighting. Because you taking that song from 1975 from Joe Blow, Joe's going to come to collect if it's a #1 hit on Billboard.
Right. Yes.
So, and another thing about the high litigation time is try to be as original as possible, because nowadays we can no longer say who we're influenced by, because there's a lot of litigation over song creativity and songs sounding like this song and that song, and it's just at an all-time high right now. So just be as original as possible and learn the business. That's my advice.
Definitely. So after that good bit of music business advice that you just gave us, no, that was some good advice. Do you have any up and coming performances, whether any live events coming up?
I do, and I'm closing on that right now as we speak. I would just say my current single that came out April 23rd, "Don't Throw Our Love Away," has really taken off, and it's a video out now, and so it's become my biggest hit to date and my international anthem. It's been on the UK soul chart for the past 6 weeks, and it peaked at #3. So
Congratulations.
it went from 26 entering in the first week, and then jumped to #3 in the second week. So it made a huge jump, and then it's kind of maintained itself in the top 20, and it's a top 30 chart. So this week I'm actually #19, and I'm still thankful to be on there. The song has really taken off in the States as well. It did well on smoothjazz.com, which is a pretty reputable site as well, and it's kind of in the smooth jazz genre, but it's R&B. it's just all live instrumentation. So because you hear saxophones, that kind of puts it in another genre. The song is actually going to have a dance remix being released next week via Tracksource, which is a dance music site. So we'll have an exclusive uh, debut of the remix next week available for people to purchase. That'll be on my website and on my social media. So it's definitely a different arrangement of the song. It's more disco. So you can definitely hear that. And I'm releasing another song on July 30th called The Thought of You. And so I'll be having a single release party in Philly for 3 nights at a venue that I can't name yet because the ink is still being drawn on the contract. So look for 3 nights, July 29th, 30th, and 31st. And that week, those 3 nights we'll be celebrating the single release of The Thought of You and my birthday. So
Oh,
birthday
wow.
July
Wow.
31st. So yeah, I'll be 25. So so I will be having, a show. So be on the lookout for tickets and come on out. It'll be a great night of good soul music, and of course the food at the restaurant that I'll be performing at is definitely good. It's definitely a place that people frequent a lot. I just can't say the name until it's solidified, but that'll be solidified within the next few days.
Okay, definitely. So we'll be watching your page and also watching your website to hear about the 3 night single release party and your
Yeah.
birthday party. So
Yes.
we'll definitely be looking out for that. And then you're also putting out a song in the end of July called The Thought of You.
Yes. And so those 3 nights is going to be a single release and birthday concert. So I'll be in concert at a venue in Philly for 3 nights, 2 shows each night. So 6 shows in 3 days.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time? Because I was listening, but I did.
Okay. So July 29th, 30th,
Hmm.
and 31st will be a
Right.
single release and birthday concert. So it's 6
Oh,
shows each night at the venue. I just can't say yet because it's not solidified. So we're waiting for those
right,
to be
right.
available. But we'll be promoting it on social media. So hopefully you can share it and come out as well.
Wow, that sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
So, so is there any, if you had a chance to collaborate with any artist, does any artist come to mind?
I mean, I would love to record with anyone who has ever recorded music just because I love music so much. In terms of a duet type of thing, I have a few
Hmm.
ladies that I would like to do, a duet with. Carol Riddick being one, who's a good friend of mine and songstress.
Yes, I did an episode
So,
of In Spotlight Philly with her.
who else? Tia Shanae as well. She's an indie artist from Philly. Quite a
Mm,
few people. So those are 2 folks that I would like to do some work with.
I would definitely, I think, yeah, like you and Carol would have a really, really good collaboration.
We
Awesome.
actually, so one of our friends and one of my mentors, he passed away back in
Oh,
February.
I'm
He's a
sorry.
legendary Philadelphia bassist by the name of Doug Grigsby, and Doug produced a song that Carol and I co-wrote many years ago, but never finished. And it was something that he wanted us to, get back with him and work on. But last September, he had a stroke, and he, had some health complications between September and February, and he was not able to make it back.
Mm,
So he passed away. So I want to revisit, that song that's still in his computer and reconstruct that song and us to kind of put it out in his honor. So right now she's doing her thing and I'm in the midst of, doing mine, but it's something that, I would definitely want to revisit at some time.
yeah, and I'd love to see that. Um, do you work with any, so currently, do you work with any organizations?
I have my own organization. My
Oh,
partner, Lox Knox, and I, we have a organization called the Artists United that is, a pretty known organization in Philadelphia. We put on a lot of seminars through the years, educating
mm,
people in the entertainment industry. And we also through some live events here in town. We had an event that did pretty well a few years ago called United We Band, and it was a jam session, you know, and we showcase various styles of music, at every event. So We also do seminars and online seminars as well. We work with youth, teaching them about the entertainment industry through our school, which is called I Care Academy. And I Care
Mm.
stands for Internet Culture, Arts, Recreation, and Edutainment, because we're educating people on the entertainment industry.
Wow, wow, wait, that's great. So I hope, like, in some way, shape, or form, that me and you could work on something, whether even just like music business or something.
Sure, sure. You know how to get me.
You have a lot. You have like a lot of. You did a lot of interesting things. Um, what was it like? What was it like when you worked with, when you worked with like mainstream artists? What was it like working like behind the scenes with them?
Working with artists that have a track record, or or
Mm-hmm.
or veterans, if you will,
But
has
mm-hmm.
always been a great experience. I worked in concert promotion for a lot of years at a venue here in Philly, and for a few years, and basically anybody who's anybody, toured there. Tina Marie, the OJs, the Whispers, even contemporary artists like Kenny Lattimore. Uh, a lot of people have played there. During my years, I was able to kind of, meet a lot of musicians and artists at the same time. And so I was able to kind of, just create great relationships, because the industry is about relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
just hearing their stories of how they created certain songs, or when they performed on certain shows, I was just a sponge. I was able just soaking up the knowledge. So working with artists that have working with veterans has always been a great experience. But working with contemporaries as well is still a great experience, because they're still they're just getting started and creating their lane in their music. A lot of contemporary artists that I'm close with, um, they still have great track records and are still doing some things, whether it's Eric Roberson or Frank McComb, artists like that. Will Downing, I work with on his team every day. So to be able, to work with them and see their creativity and what they're doing and still support them is a great experience.
Wow. So have you ever been on tour? And if you have, what has tour life been like?
I haven't done extensive tours on myself.
Okay.
I've done things in college, but mainly a lot of my years again was working on the business side. So I was pretty,
Okay.
behind the scenes. I've done, tours or going out with a few people doing things, and it's always a great experience being, on the road or outside of where you live, to perform and see the crowd reactions to the people that you're working with. So I am
Oh,
looking to do some touring on my own now that these singles are doing very well, especially internationally. Right now, again, the success in the UK was very humbling and grateful, and I've just been thankful for that. So that's one of the main places I'm trying to target to get to right now.
wow, it's so amazing how music reaches so many different people all over the globe.
Music is the
Mhm.
universal language, and it knows no color, genre, or nationality, or culture, and it touches people. So I think that music, especially R&B and soul music, is more appreciated outside of the U.S. than it is within the U.S. So
Mm.
once your music is accepted abroad, especially in England, they love you for life, and they never forget you. There are people that, I mean, again, I can just use the 3 Degrees as an example. That's primarily where my aunt's been making a lot of her money over the past 40 years. So, again, once they love you for life, and they support you for a long time. And the people over there are very loyal to you and your music as an artist.
Wow. So does your aunt, does she reside in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or does she live in the UK?
She lives in the U.S. However, a lot of their you know work was abroad. A lot of their
Mm-hmm.
and the UK, Holland, Belgium, Germany, Japan is like their second home, you know. So 99% of her work was always outside the country.
Wow. Wow, that's very, very interesting. So, due to like the impact that COVID has had on lives, on our lives and on live music and entertainment and just the whole world, where do you see the future of like live entertainment and music going?
Well, it's coming back very quickly right now. Working on both sides of the fence, live music is back. Tours are coming back. Shows are coming back. Artists are now getting all their tour dates and posting them and trying to get ready for the remainder of this year to make up for the finances that were lost from last year from
Hmm.
no one working, whether it's public or private performances. So it's back now. We just have to be socially distanced and be mindful because COVID is still alive. Just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you still can't get COVID-19. It's still
Exactly.
so. I think if people adhere to the guidelines of venues and buildings and events, I think we'll be okay. But
Hmm.
it's back already. So, concerts are coming to Philadelphia right now. We're hearing of things brewing, you know, in the summertime. So I think they're having the
Yeah.
big Made in America festival this year already. It was announced, and maybe the July 4th Welcome America, I think, was announced as well. So life is getting back to, or trying to get back to what we knew it to be pre-pandemic. Whether it will be that way, we're all waiting to see.
Definitely, definitely. And you're right. Definitely. I think if everybody does stick to the guidelines of all events, because there is different variants out there. So until we, get that together. But I hope that it gets together real soon so that everyone can go back because we need music. We need to see live shows. We need that interaction. Miss it dearly.
I'm so excited right now to do these 3 nights and 6 shows, July 29th, 30th, and 31st. So stay tuned. I will be announcing that soon, but I can't wait to get back and now to perform my own music. That's the plus right now. And that's what I've been really trying to create, what that show is going to be for the people. So I'm excited. I've done a few performances in the private sector over the past month, and so it took a minute to kind of get back in the rhythm of it and being around people. But I'm happy to be around people. I'm happy to see folks that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm happy to do what I love, which is singing and performing. So it's been a great time over the past month. But I'm really looking forward to these 6 shows and 3 nights that I'm doing back here in Philadelphia to celebrate, the success of my current single and the release of the coming single that weekend, July 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Yes, yes. So is this your current album or EP or
I'm just doing singles right now. I
oh
think
you're just doing singles? Okay.
yeah, we're in the singles market. I love albums. I miss full albums. I wish I had the time to do a full album, but I want all of my songs to be heard and to be accounted for. Um,
Definitely.
I don't want songs to get lost amongst 5, 6, or 8 in an EP or full length project. I want everything to be heard. So I'm just doing singles at the moment. So it'll be some original versions and some remixes, and I'm really expanding genres a little bit at this point because
Mm,
I'm in just a very creative space. I mean, the main thing is R&B, but the remixes are getting into the dance genre and market.
yeah.
And I do have I will be going in the studio soon I actually wrote a jazz standard. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, so I'm taking it back to something that would sound like it's big band like of the 1950s and just those type of melodies. I have a whole song that I'm in the process of writing, so I'm in a very creative space right now. I studied jazz in college at Howard University, so
hmm,
and being on Clubhouse during the quarantine, they have so many rooms and so many people to talk to and connect with that there were a few jazz rooms where people were just scatting and singing various standards, and I hadn't really had the time to listen to standards. Yeah, and so I miss hearing those classic songs like Moody's Mood for Love or Misty or My Funny Valentine or et cetera, et cetera. Just those classic standards. I mean, I sing Fly Me to the Moon all the time in the private sector, so I don't really miss that one. However, I didn't want to record a cover, a jazz cover album or anything. I just wanted to write my own. So I'm just in a creative space to do that. So that's going to be a goal for later this year, and hopefully release that song sometime next year. But I do, like I said, I have The Thought of You coming July 30th, and it'll be a remix followed by that for that particular song. And then I'm looking to release a ballad, a wedding song that I wrote probably in the fall before all the Christmas music hits the shelves.
Awesome, awesome. You have a lot of exciting things coming up. Could you tell everybody where they can, just for people that might have just joined, to tell everyone where they can find you at again and your website?
Sure, they can go to my website at ashleyscottmusic.com. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm AshleyScott3, and on Facebook, it's facebook.com/I am Ashley Scott for my like page. And if they want to purchase the music, they can go to the website, ashleyscottmusic.com, and click on the music store, and they can purchase all the songs right there. And the proceeds will go directly to the artists and not the big companies.
Wow. So I'll probably close with this question. So normally, this is the time in the interview to find out if the guests have any questions, if any questions for me. If you do, if not, that's fine.
No, I just thank you for having me on the platform, and thank you for spotlighting Philadelphia artists because we need it, and maintaining the quality of home here in Philadelphia. So thank you for having me on your platform.
Awesome. So now I'm going to be wrapping up the interview. I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show, Ashley. And I also wanted to tell thank you to all of the viewers that came on and all of the supporters, and that I will definitely have this interview up tonight on the YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, um, the Indie Spotlight Philly. And what's the name of your YouTube channel again?
Ashley Scott Music.
Ashley Scott Music.
Yes.
So thank you so much, and I hope that you have a really great night.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.